We're good.
Okay. So I want everyone to kind of take a deep breath. I know we were all joking around and happy a second ago, but we're going to get back into the atmosphere because last session we left off with kind of a cliffhanger, as you all were confronted first thing in the morning by a torn up, bleeding Vale Aaron who told you that Lysander had attempted to take his life the night before. Vale, after giving you the information, stormed off. He was chased down by Aramil, who said thank you. He nodded in response, but kept stalking his way down the street. Um, I think Zane went out into the courtyard and was yelling his frustration. Magnus went to bed, um, apparently unconcerned. What are the rest of you doing? Actually, let me stop you right there. I know that Aramo went upstairs and broke a third of his staff off of his trifold staff. What did you do with the part that you broke off, Aramel?
He just left it discarded on the ground where he broke it.
Okay, I have to ask the question. Kamara, Charlene, what are you guys doing? Like immediately after, when everyone kind of goes their separate ways, what are you guys doing?
Well, uh, Kamar, I was like crying for like 10 minutes or so, and then after that, I'm gonna talk to Sherlyn.
Okay, so during this 10 minutes of crying, you see everyone leave. You also see Aramel come back and go back out the front door. And as the door is swinging shut behind him, you realize that he was carrying his packs. And that's where we'll pick up with Kamara and Charlene in the common room of the Laughing Llama.
Wait, when you say packs, what do you mean packs?
Like his backpack, his bedroll, all that stuff.
Where are you going, Airman?
He's pretty much already out the door. Like it already swung shut behind him by the time you realized what he was carrying.
He drops a note on the table as he leaves.
Airmel, where are you going?
So he doesn't stop, but as he mentioned, he did drop that note. And Aramel, if you don't mind reading what it says, I need to pull it back up. I'm sorry, I closed it.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Uh, I he wrote that he had to return to train his spirit. He was going along the Osmit coastline, and he would be back once he's strong enough to help.
I hope it's not too long.
Zane can be heard shouting in the background.
He's been shouting for like a while. Um, Charlene, can you watch Castellama?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Out of character, everyone got a chance to read the story, right? Is there anyone who is not caught up?
I got caught up. Read it all.
Okay.
Great writing, by the way.
And Kamara hands Castiama over to you. You can still hear Minxie kind of crying in the kitchen, and Greer's talking to her.
Gonna walk out and do I see Aramil?
At this point now.
Alright, I'll go to where I think Valerian is.
Okay, so you're headed to his estate?
Yeah.
Okay, so early morning, everything's just starting to open up. There's already kids awake running around the courtyard, the front courtyard. The gates are open, and no one stops you as you make your way in to the front door. At which point, one of the female servants who you've seen, she has a long brown ponytail, kind of graying hair, um, approaches you and asks what you're here for.
See Valerian.
She asks you to wait for a moment, disappears up the stairs, and then comes back down to get you. She leads you up the stairs. This time it's not to his office though. You pass the office and she leads you down a hallway. And at the end of the hallway is another door, which you assume is likely a bedroom. And he's actually standing there talking to another one of the servants, who is a older man who is currently handing him a pair of shackles. And he thanks the man, glances at you, and gestures for you to come inside.
I go inside.
He shuts the door behind you. His room isn't much different from his office. You're not surprised to see that it's pretty sparse. Um, it's got a fireplace, which is not going right now. It's got a bed. The nicest thing about the room is a pair of stained glass doors that open to a balcony that overlook the ocean back behind the estate. However, on the bed, you do see under the blankets the form of Lysander. From what you can see, he's pretty rough. And as you are kind of looking around at the surroundings, Vale walks over to him, pulls the blankets off, latches one side of the shackles to one of Lysander's wrists and the other to one of his. And then he sits down on the edge of the bed and looks at you.
It's that serious.
Yeah. Now that the covers are down, you can see that he's obviously got, Lysander, not Vale, has got some broken ribs. It looks like the skin is healed over, but you can see that that it's kind of malformed. You can see burns all over his torso that look like they're healing, and there's also a spot on his arm that's very black. What are you doing here, Kamara?
I wanted to know he was okay, for sure. I just wanted to talk, I guess.
You still want to talk to me after you saw what I am?
A decent human being.
Let's not play games. I'm a werewolf.
I'm a tiefling.
So you're saying it doesn't bother you?
Right. It does not bother me at all.
He kind of furrows his eyebrows and looks at you and says, "Say that again." And before you can speak, you kind of feel that pressure, that strange pressure that you're used to, which you've realized means that he's doing whatever is he does to see if you're telling the truth.
It does not bother me at all.
Didn't think I'd ever hear someone say that. Well, as you can see, he's not in good shape, but he's okay.
What can I do to help him?
Like
Right
I
now?
said, for now, just stay away. He doesn't need the drama of whatever it is that you guys have been bringing on him.
I can give blood if he needs it, if you need me to.
He sighs and thank you, but I think for now we're okay. I'm hoping that I'll be enough, but I'll remember that if we need it.
Okay.
Do you know anything about how he recovers? I tried healing him and he points at the black spot. Obviously that didn't go over so well.
We tried blood. We tried healing. Those are the only things. I know vampires use necrotic damage, but we have never tried it. I don't know if that would work. I don't think we tried it, did we? Anyway.
Doesn't really make sense. He can touch my holy symbol and it doesn't burn him, but my healing does.
His vampirism is confusing. And he's an angel. So I think it'll take time and he'll heal. It just takes a while.
More worried about his mind than his body, but I'll look over him. You should go.
He likes to be read. He likes the Tyrion Darrington adventures. If you want to read while you're sitting here.
He kind of shakes his head in disbelief. Thank you for the advice. Is there anything else?
No. Thank you. I'll just kiss him on the cheek, give him a hug, and then leave.
Before you go out the door, he calls out and says, "How's the baby?"
She's very good, thank you. She's feisty. This is.
I didn't mean to give you a hard time about that.
It's okay. It made sense.
I'm going to be frank here. What is this, Kamara?
This is the beginning of something.
Something?
I don't know. It's up to you. Honestly. With how you responded to Mina, I think there's something you're working on, so it's up to you.
Okay. My question is, what exactly are you looking for?
Comfort. If that made sense.
Okay, so you're not looking for fidelity because I've proven time and time again that I'm not good at that.
What man's good at fidelity?
Most are better than me, apparently. If you understand that about me, maybe we can see where this goes.
I understand, and let's see.
Kamara, keep the others away, please.
I'll try. They. I'll try.
Figuring that the conversation has ended, he's already laying down in the bed, looking exhausted as you leave the room.
Okay.
Are you doing anything else between now and going back to the llama?
No.
Okay. So we're going to pick back up at the llama. Charlene, is there anything in particular that you wanted to do?
No, I think that at that point Charlene's pretty much just like in like a baby sing-songy voice talking to Castiama.
Okay.
How old is Castiama again?
She's a year old.
Okay. So she's actually like talking out her feelings about all of this that just happened, but keeping it a sing-songy voice, so like keeping with the idea of as long as you say it in a nice way, it's fine for the kid, even though it's like actually her talking about like all of her feelings about this.
Castiana is actually a very good listener, and as she listens, she chews on her thumb, and a large line of drool kind of spills down her face. But she seems very wrapped in what you're saying. A couple moments after Kamara leaves the llama, you notice Greer go out the door behind her.
Sherlin just nods to him as he goes if he's not gonna actually say anything to
Okay. So we are going to go to Magnus. Are you doing anything?
Nothing really. I just have the zone of silence, and I'm just sitting, laying in the bed, looking up, just thinking.
Okay. And Zane, what are you doing?
I'm leaving and I'm going to that cubby hole to check to see if there's anything there. Basically, I'm just gonna take a walk and still blow off some steam. Still pretty angry.
Okay. Is your anger directed towards Vale or towards Lysander? What are you angry at?
He's angry at both of them. Triggered by Vale.
Gotcha. Okay. So you make your way to the cubby, kind of digging. There's really only one note in there, and when you pull it out, you hear or you read that apparently Digant has been pulling a lot of funds from the bank. And they don't know what it's going to, but they have a suspicion that it might have something to do with the assassination attempt that happened when you were freeing Mina the other day.
Interesting. I'm going to the bank next.
Okay. So they greet you at the entrance of the bank with a glass of wine. You're definitely a VIP here, and ask what they can be of service.
I'd like to speak to the head of this organization if he has time for me.
Okay. They bring you back to the desk in the back, the nice office with the plush chairs, and you find yourself seated again in front of the man that you had talked to the second time you came about making sure that Brom Goldhand didn't abuse the writ that you carried. And he stands and says, "Welcome back, Lord Blackthorn." Reaches out a hand.
I shake it and give him a polite nod with a smile.
And if you don't remember, his name is on the desk. It's Albaster Lynn.
I did not remember, and now I do.
What can I do for you, Lord Blackthorn?
What do you know of Lord Dugent?
He's a client, one of the lords in the city. Family's been around a long time.
Does he have any pull in this bank? Or pull with you?
That's a rather bold question.
I'm going to be like reading him while he answers.
You can make an insight check.
First of all, what does he say to me? Of course, he's probably going to say no, but
He said that's a very bold question.
I'm a very bold man.
So you get the impression that to this guy, business is business. Money is what talks.
That's all I needed to hear from you, though.
Is there a reason for this line of questioning?
I was wondering if there's. I've heard through my little birds that that Dugent is pulling out loads of money from your bank, which I'm sure is very unfortunate for you, having to lose all of your liquidity. Uh, what may I ask if he has established any reason for doing so?
He kind of narrows his eyes and chews on his lip a little bit. I'm sure you can understand that it's not in the best interest of our organization to discuss our clients' private affairs.
That is perfectly understandable, and I commend you on that. Which it definitely means that I can do more business with you.
However, I can say that with recent withdrawals, he's definitely fallen to a low priority on our client list. If one were to say, make a large investment, perhaps they would gain more favor.
And if one were to make such a large investment, what would that person invest? How much would that person invest?
That depends on the depths of the favor that the person is going to ask.
Information, personal, financial, business.
He sits back in his chair and kind of rubs his forked beard a little bit, and then stands up, walks to the door of his office and closes it and sits back down. Sometimes unfortunate things can happen. Information can get misplaced, funds can be delayed, these sorts of things.
Go on.
Let's just say that there is a possibility that I could make it rather uncomfortable for Lord Dugan. Should I have enough reason?
Certainly. An up and coming celebrity in this town who plans on making rather large waves. It would be an incredible asset to your organization. Alliances would make sense between that celebrity and that organization.
He folds his hands across his lap and says, well, I suggest that the celebrity make a decision about the amount of his investment and we'll speak again.
Very well. And I stand and stretch my hand.
He shakes it and then gives you a bow.
I'm looking forward to a long and successful and wealthy business venture with you and your organization.
I do like the sound of that.
You have a good day.
Okay. So you're headed out of the bank. We're gonna go ahead and jump to Aramel. So Aramel, it is still morning. You are making your way out of the mall. Tell me what you're doing, please.
He's heading out the south gate. He's just walking through the streets with his stuff in tow. Looking pretty tired. He hasn't slept. Oh, meditated.
Tell me kind of what's going through his mind.
He feels a crushing despair of being hopeless and being unable to get what he wants done. And he remembers his mentor and his adopted family who live along the Osmic coast and how they helped him when his village was wiped out. And he's hoping that they may be able to restore some of his spirit so that he can come back and help everyone through this, which, makes sense in his head, but clearly isn't a good idea.
Okay, give me one moment. Okay, so you're heading out of Amman through by way of the South Gate through the lower slums. Few hours pass as you make your way on. There's a lot of caravans coming in, a lot of people talking. Everyone seems excited. You hear the word Summer Moon Festival repeated multiple times as you are beginning your journey. You make it about halfway through the day and it starts to rain. And it's not a pleasant drizzle, it's a pretty heavy downpour. At this point, you're kind of beyond the slums and out in the wilderness. There's really not any sign of civilization around, just large fields. You might be able to see some farms out on the horizon, but it would take you quite a bit out of your way to make your way to shelter. It's also at this point that the fact that you haven't meditated starts to catch up with you and you start to feel very tired.
Aramil just bears with it for now. He has his sort of recovery in mind, how he thinks he needs to recover, and just is going for it as hard as he can.
Okay, about how much further does he travel before he gives in to fatigue?
Probably until probably early evening. He just drops. Like, he can't walk anymore. He's reached a level of exhaustion where, like, he's slowing to a crawl. He looks for any tree and decides to prop himself up against it since he can't hold his back straight to trance.
Okay, so with the sun setting in the horizon, you finally kind of crawl your way over to it's really not as much a tree as a shrub, but make your way under it to get what shelter you can. Your knees are now covered in mud, and you try to go into a meditative state. We're going to pause right there because a few things are going to be happening during the day. So I need to know specifically if there is anything else that anyone wants to do this day. Otherwise, we're going to go to some plot points.
I'm talking to. I haven't left the bank completely yet. I'm gonna be trying to talk to someone, maybe a supervisor of some sort, or maybe there's maybe a department in the bank about debts. I want to talk about debts with someone.
What specifically about debts?
Um, Specifically, uh, uh, common people and merchants who who are in debt to the bank.
Okay. Um, so they give you, they kind of question it, but after talking to, um, going back and having a conversation with Alabaster Lynn, they come back out and they give you a short list and they say that there's more, but these are some names that you might find interesting.
I'd like to scan them real quick to see what their occupations are. And if you don't have the occupations now, you can obviously get them to me later.
So there's a number of names on the list, but one that jumps out at you is the name Marcus Emmerich, and his occupation is listed as entertainer.
Interesting. I think I think I'm in tip. I don't know what's a good tip for a bank teller or whatever. What would be a good what would be an appropriate tip?
5 gold.
I'll give him five gold and say thank you very much. I appreciate the information.
He gives you a low bow as you leave. Was there anything else? I know you had a couple things on your list.
Yes. Uh, so after so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm gonna go to the library. I want to look up the gentleman's club,
Okay.
or anywhere that would make sense to find out information about the gentleman's club. The library is like the first thing that comes to mind for me, but I don't know like if Zane would know something more than what I'd know to how to find out.
So Zane's never heard anything about the Gentleman's Club. This is the first time it has come up. And you spend maybe an hour or two looking around the library, um, and find absolutely nothing, no leads whatsoever. I'm not even going to make you roll a check because there's just no word of it.
Okay, interesting. Um, it might just be like a Fight Club kind of thing, where only the members know about it. Interesting. All right. After that, what did I say I was going to do? Look it up real quick. You can move on to someone else if someone else has something they want to do.
Okay. Can we assume that after the library, you head back to the llama, hungry for lunch?
Sure, I'll take a break.
Okay. So we're going to say that it's now about noon, and the group of you have kind of converged. If you don't want to come down, Magnus, you don't have to. But Kamara has returned. Charlene is still there, and Zane is there. Um, and Minxie looking very downtrodden, with Stefan kind of following on her heels. He arrived earlier in the day. Um, Serves you a rather, for Minxie, a rather pathetic lunch. It's pretty much just thrown together bread and some sliced meat and some cheese. You can tell she's having a really hard time with this. And it's about that time when you see a familiar crackle of energy in the same spot that you saw the night before. And the energy turns into a line, and Mina steps out of it. Good morning.
Good morning, Mina.
Good morning.
She looks
Good
around at you all
morning.
and immediately takes in the kind of somber look. She glances at Minxie, who has puffy red eyes. Don't you guys look like a sack of joy this morning?
Mm.
Did
Well,
you guys have a little too much to drink after I left last night? Maybe I should have stuck around.
I was a bit more heavier than getting drunk.
Okay. Is someone going to tell me what's going on?
Zane's like looking around the table like, really? No one's gonna say anything? All right. Lysander tried to kill himself.
She blinks a few times and looks really confused. Wait, you're... What?
The demigod vampire person?
Right. That makes no sense. I mean, I'm sorry, but it makes no sense. Why would he spend a year in a box being tortured just to do that now?
I thought the same thing.
She looks around the room for a second. Where are Magnus and Aramel?
Aramel needed time, and Magnus is in his room.
What do you mean Aramel needed time?
He needed to figure out himself again, I guess. That meditation thing. What he does. It kind of hit him hard.
Wait, he left?
Yes.
Like left Amon?
Oh, that's good.
Maybe.
He wouldn't have done that without saying bye, right?
He left a note.
Let me see it. She's starting to look really upset.
If I have it, I'll hand her the note. I imagine we didn't move it, but
Please pull up there. Have some cheese and bread.
She looks over the note and is quiet for a minute and then sets it down on the table. You guys aren't going after him?
When Aramel gets this way, not really much we can say. He did something similar on our first trek out into the forests.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not okay with that.
What even is Lysander's Legion without Lysander?
I don't know, but if he's hurting, someone needs to talk to him. She turns on you, Zane. Let me borrow Maximus.
Borrow Maximus. You're gonna chase after him, but does it say in the letter which way he went?
It says exactly where he went. Look.
What does it say again?
Pasta.
I thought he's headed down the Osmeat coast.
How far away is that?
Well, when did he leave?
A few hours ago.
Then not far. I bet with your horse I can catch him. Please, Zane.
I trust you. Go ahead.
Thank you. She gives you a hug.
I hug her back and I say, take a few apples with you.
Okay. She goes through the kitchen doors and disappears. Okay, again, I'm going to ask, what else do you guys want to do?
One sec, I said I was going to look it up, and I totally didn't while other things were happening.
Okay, if you'd like, I can go ahead and skip over, and then we can come back to it.
Oh yeah, okay. So I wanted to go to that maid that Dugent abused, but I don't know if that's a good one. Yeah, a lot of things are going to be about Dugent.
Okay. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and skip that. I'm kind of feeling like maybe we should do more of that on a one-on-one.
Certainly.
Okay. Or after the session like last time. Great. So the group of you kind of passes the afternoon, each kind of focusing on their own tasks. And then we're going to go back to... Sorry, I don't have a better map prepared, so I'm just going to use that one.
Just keep in mind that little things from the one-on-ones that we kind of skip over tend to also impact things that, or change things, that decisions that we would have made later on.
That's true. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this portion with Aramel, and then I'll come back, but we'll just rewind in the day. Nothing in this is going to impact anything that you do because it's outside of the city.
Okay.
Okay. So Aramel, you are under the tree. I assume you're trying to enter a meditative state.
He's doing his best, but we can all do.
Okay, you're finding it very difficult. There's so much on your mind just kind of swirling around. The fatigue is hitting you like you haven't experienced in a while. You've gone through much rougher circumstances than this, but it feels like every nerve ending is just raw, like everything is just wrong and off with your balance. Even so, you eventually, maybe after about an hour of effort, end up clearing your mind and entering meditation. You start to feel that familiar restful trance come on, but then memories start to flood you. And suddenly, out of nowhere, you're back in your cot in the hut where you live with your mother and father. And subconsciously, you realize that you're reliving this memory, but you're so fully in meditation right now that you're not really able to shake yourself from it. And you're kind of just a spectator as your memory replays in your mind. You feel the kind of rough material of the cot underneath you, and you're hot, you're covered in sweat. It's been days now that you've been like this. Your leg is mangled. You broke it in practice almost 3 weeks ago, and since that day, it's continuously gotten worse. You've developed a fever, and you haven't been able to eat or drink in a number of days now. You hear the voices of your mom and dad outside of the room arguing. And you're not sure what's worse, the fact that your dad doesn't want anything to be done to help you, or the fact that your mom has called in help because she doesn't believe you can make it through this on your own. You're frustrated, but at this point, you're too weak to really do anything about it. So you lay there and listen to their argument. And you gather from the conversation that your mother has called on the aid of a human cleric who is to arrive any moment. And your father is arguing that this goes outside of the bounds of what your culture allows. You feel your heart racing, you feel sweat trickling down the sides of your face. And you go from caring about what they're saying to being too exhausted to care. And you take a deep breath, and everything fades to black. And while you, as Aramil, remember laying in the cot, you don't remember this. You feel just for a moment a strange sensation as if someone is looking at you or watching you. And this is what meditating Aramil is feeling, not the Aramil of the vision. You kind of question what's going on, and you feel something very ancient kind of just on the edge of your senses. Something sleeping that's woken up and is looking at you, and then it's gone. And then you return to the dream where your memory, Aramil, is now in a place that you don't remember. You realize that this is not something that is in your conscious memory. All around you is blackness, darkness. You look down to see your hands and you can't see anything. You look around, you see nothing. It's completely silent. It's complete sensory deprivation. You try to move, and you understand that you're moving simply because of the force of will, that there is no body here. And after a couple of moments of feeling confused and looking around, you start to notice a light in the distance. It's glowing in 1,000 different colors. As you watch, it starts to get brighter. You don't know if it's because you're moving towards it or it's moving towards you, but it's kind of scintillating and enticing and attractive. You look around again, seeing nothing else, you make the decision to move towards it. And as you do, you feel something stop you. It feels like a hand on your arm, but you realize very quickly that nothing here is corporeal. Whatever it is you're feeling is just how your mind is recognizing the sensations that are happening to you. The hand on your arm stops you and a voice speaks. And this isn't a voice that the Aramil of the past would have recognized, but it's certainly a voice that the present Aramil recognizes. And Lysander says, don't listen to them. You've never been weak for a moment in your life. The past Aramil tries to respond, but realizes that there's no mouth, there's no way to do so. And the present Aramil is stuck listening, observing. You feel arms wrap around your chest and breath on your ear. And he says, it's the way of nature. It's not your weakness. This is how nature was created, to bring down even the mightiest of structures. In time, it can destroy anything. It can renew anything. It can preserve anything. The mightiest creature can be felled by the smallest bite. It's not your fault that this is something that you can't overcome. And it's not your mother's fault that she's called for aid. If you need someone to blame, blame me. The arms kind of tighten around you. And you hear a sigh, and he says, it doesn't matter. Like he's talking to himself. You're not going to remember this anyway. You feel his cheek press against yours as he says, you're not alone. As long as I have light in me, I promise you that you'll never be alone. When you're at your lowest, I'll raise you high. I'll hold you through the depths of your despair, and I'll guide you through the darkness and steal away your pain. And when your life is through, I'll greet you on the other side. Amaseor. And that's a word that you don't recognize. Hold on, Aram. You need to go back now and live your life, the one that you deserve. And you feel like a pressure, a push, and the darkness is gone. And the memory, Aramil, opens his eyes, blinking. You're surprised at how cool the room is. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And again, this is part of the memory that you do remember. You wake up and you see a strange man kneeling over you. Older man, heavy set, balding head, with a holy symbol dangling around his neck. And he looks at you surprised. And he turns to your mother, who's also kneeling beside you. And she says, Is he going to be okay? And the cleric says, it worked better than I expected. You said your son doesn't worship a god? She shakes her head. He looks confused back at you, Aramil. You're still kind of weak and kind of trying to figure out what's happened. He says, that's odd. For a moment, I felt like there was a presence here. But your son should be fine. You feel your mother hug you and stand up and gives the cleric 100 thanks. You see your dad standing off in the corner with his arms crossed, looking down at his feet. And the memory fades, and you're still in your meditation. What do you choose to do?
I think he will continue meditating until he's rested, even after that.
Okay. So at some point during your meditation, you realize that it must have stopped raining. I don't know how aware you are of the outside world, but you don't feel rain anymore. And it's shortly after that you hear voices. 2 female voices.
Aramil very slowly keeps his eyes closed, but changes his focus so he can better perceive the world around him.
Okay. It's a little confusing. You are inside of what looks like a room. You don't remember moving or being moved, but you see
He's
Mina.
he's keeping his eyes closed. He's just listening.
Okay. Well, you hear a familiar voice of Mina, very low as to apparently not wake you. And she's having a conversation, just very generic, like, where are you from? What are you doing here? Kind of conversation with another familiar voice. And I'm going to need to have you pronounce this for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. Navure?
Okay. So you recognize it as Navarre, um, which comes as kind of a surprise to you.
He's going to see if he can feel anything under him. He was sitting on damp ground, probably mud, or at the very least, just non-solid dirt.
It feels like you're sitting on plush carpet.
He's gonna see if this is some sort of trick of the senses and it's just a vision, and try and lose his focus again as if he's going back into trance. After a while, he realizes that it's not working and opens his eyes very suddenly and looks around at the source of the voices.
Okay, so you're in what appears to be like a small hut kind of thing, but it's very nice. As far as you can tell from the inside, it's maybe like a 10 by 10 circular room. There's one bed, there's carpeting. It's very basic. Um, but you see Mina kind of wringing water out of her hair, talking to Navarre, um, and they seem to be sharing a meal. Oh, and by the way, Maximus is in the hut as well.
Aramil very quickly gets up, since he roused himself while keeping his eyes closed, essentially, and drops his guard so that he's not like tense or anything. He looks between the two, very confused.
They both turn to look at you. Mina immediately puts her hands on her hips and then points a finger at you and says, "No."
No?
No, that was not okay. That breaks every bestie rule in the book, Aramil.
He sighs. Alright, show me the book. I don't think I've read the bestie book, so.
Well, that's just kind of something you have to figure out. But since you don't seem to understand, rule number one, don't walk away.
Aramil gives her a confused look. Away? Like,
Did I not give you enough grief last time you left without saying goodbye?
well, I guess you did scold us that time, but this is a little different, and I didn't want to disturb you after you were still covering.
She rolls her eyes and looks over at your other guest. Okay, maybe since he's not hearing it from me, he'll hear it from you. Excuse me. And she takes Maximus by the bridle and leads him out the door. As the door opens, you see the same landscape out in front of you as where you kind of sat yourself. And out of the door, before the door closes, she yells back, "Just let me know when you're ready to go back to Amon," and slams the door. And Navu is kind of looking at the door a little confused and then looks over at you. She's interesting.
Aramil just agrees by nodding. It's really you, Navu, right?
Yeah, it's me. I kind of wondered the same thing when I found you sitting in the rain meditating.
Aramil lets out a sigh. He sits down at the table where she was previously having the meal.
So she hasn't changed much. She still has the she's a sea elf, just for everyone who's listening. Um, Young woman about Aramil's age, with long kind of bluish green hair pulled back into a ponytail, um, dressed in like leather pants, rather muscular, very very well in shape. Looks very monkish, kind of like Aramil.
This is perfect timing. I was just heading back to the Interim clan.
She's looking at you rather strangely, and you realize that she's looking at the markings, or the tattoos on your chest, or rather, the lack of one of them as your spirit tattoo has faded.
It's completely gone,
Looks,
huh?
looks like you're having a hard time. It never was your best feature.
No, I mean, you know how my clan was with strength. We were always about reinforcing ourselves, never about really understanding why we were doing it other than to preserve nature.
Well, it's a good thing it's my strong point. She leans forward and touches your arm, and you watch as the tattoo starts to reappear. It's still faded, but you feel kind of an energy flooding into you from her fingers.
Aramil looks surprised. You know I'm not ready for this. You remember the first time we tried, before I went home, it wouldn't even stay for a day. And then afterwards, apparently it wasn't strong enough to last.
It's worth a try, don't you think?
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Even if it doesn't last a day, it'll give you a start. What's going on, Aramil? Do you have friends? Seems like that one's rather concerned about you, and she points out the door.
I honestly, I thought she may follow me. I was hoping to not bother her and be able to come back once I am ready, but seems like my weakness just caused trouble for people once more.
That's where you're wrong. You see, friends are never trouble. She tilts her head to the side. Is that what she is? A friend? Maybe something more?
I believe the words that she would use would be bestie, although it's not any term that I've ever looked up in a book.
Bestie. Okay, so not someone special?
I think a lot of the people that I've met while trying to find the lost members of my clan and the rest of the elves in the Verdant Expanse, I think a lot of the people that I've met on that journey are actually special. Aramil then thinks for a moment. Special's a tough word to define. Maybe is there something else that we could use to describe? Powerful or important?
Aramil. Sometimes you make me so frustrated.
Uh, yeah, I understand that. Again, I'm very sorry.
She laughs and reaches down into a pouch, and she pulls out something that's covered in like a black velvet bag and hands it to you.
Hmm?
While you're kind of looking at it, she notices your nunchucks and grabs them off your side and holds it up. What's this?
Uh, it had rotted all the way through. It wasn't working as a weapon anymore.
You really do need help.
He
So
nods.
I'm headed north. It's my turn to make my journey. I'm headed to the dwarves to learn about strength.
He
I'm
looks
sure
at
with their. Sorry,
oh he looks at your tattoo and says, "I see. It's very well done. Did you end up doing it yourself after you got your parents' blessing on it?
I did.
It's very impressive."
I know. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm more than certain that the doors would be able to craft me a new one of these. So take this. And she pulls her trifold staff off of her back and hands it to you. And
You
I'll take these for now. She takes the nunchucks.
you know I can't take that. It's going to break again. Over time, unless I can be stronger, the weapon will just degrade.
I don't think so. I think you'll find some strength. I think you need to have some confidence in yourself. She glances at the pouch in your hand.
He pulls on the string to open it and peers inside.
And what you see inside is a smooth pearl, which you understand the meaning of. She says, I really cherished our time together in the village, and I
You
look forward to seeing you again.
I you Airmill's mind sort of processes this. He'd only seen one or two before. Uh, it was a perfect pearl. He could see himself shining in it as he looks inside the bag. He looks back up at Navu. You mean
A proposal?
how long have you had this?
Years, really. I actually wanted to give it to you before you left, but by the time I found one, you'd already gone.
Well, the time that we spent together along the coast was very important to me. And you know what? I will see you again for sure. Thank you, Navu.
She gives you a bow, puts her hand on your heart for a second, and then starts to walk away. And then raises a finger and swings around and I almost forgot. Are you going back to Amon?
Uh, he looks down at the pearl. He looks at the faded tattoo. I think so.
I really don't want to stop in the city. Can you deliver this for me? And she hands you a letter.
Aramil nods and gives her a slight bow.
She bows back, gives you a really big smile, and exits the hut.
Aramil stares after her, a little perplexed at just what happened, but he smiles to himself briefly.
There's a couple moments while you're thinking, and then there's a knock on the. Amina pokes her head in. Are you done?
Aramil quickly puts the pearl back in the pouch and pockets it. I think so. Yes. Hey, Mina.
Hmm.
Thanks for coming to get me.
Don't be ridiculous. Just don't make me do it again.
Aramil nods and walks out of the magically made room.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay. So she asks you if you're ready to go back to Amon. As you step out, you see that around the tree that the brush really that you had paused to meditate at is now a small hut, which has just suddenly appeared. And as you step out of it, she waves her hand and it disappears.
I thought it was strange that a very small tree became such a different shelter.
Magic is a wonderful thing.
Aramil looks up to the sky, checking to see if the clouds from the rain had cleared.
They're
I
completely gone. You're guessing that it's probably just past midnight, maybe?
I guess it has some good uses after all.
You know what it can't do? It can't fix saddle burn. And she pulls up the skirt of her dress and shows you the inside of her thigh, which is all like red and chafed. I don't understand how men do this. Isn't it really uncomfortable?
Aramil both winces and shies away at the same time. I really didn't need to see that. It certainly looks uncomfortable.
Well, suck it up, Buttercup. This was all for you.
I I guess I need to see it then. And he sort of like braces his house and says, "All right, show me the extent of your sallow burn then."
Yeah, no.
He
She starts laughing when you say that.
he just keeps his serious face, but doesn't look surprised at the reaction at all.
So here's my thought. I'm tired. Really don't want to subject myself to more of this. As much as I love Maximus, I'm going to be walking funny for a week. So, are you okay if I do a little? And she kind of waves her hands. And just take us back right away.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so she does exactly that. Holding Maximus's bridle, she starts chanting and making hand symbols. And then she reaches out for your hand and grabs you. And after a couple seconds, you feel kind of this odd twisting sensation. And then all three of you are standing in the in the common room of the Laughing Llama, including the horse. And she looks around to the empty room and says, "We're back." Okay, so we're gonna rewind to earlier in the day. Was there anything else you guys wanted to do? I know, Brett, you had something. Sorry, guys, I know that was a little long.
It's okay. I do, but I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of other people who want to do things as well. And we focus on me quite a bit.
Speak now or forever hold your peas.
I'm throwing my peas at you.
She's smushing them so Kostiyama can eat them.
I hate peas.
Okay, speak up.
I guess I'll do it. It sounds like Josh maybe doesn't want to do anything, or Mike doesn't want to do anything. I mean,
Okay.
all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is uh, like to talk to the maid.
Okay, so it's after lunch now. You remember seeing the maid at um, at Mina's at the Gilmore estate. So you make your way there. You're very familiar now with the bell that you ring at the end of the butler, the beloved butler. Galvestad walks up to you. His eyes are basically just slits. He's very unimpressed. "I'm sorry, sir. The lady is out."
In Elvish, I'm going to say, not here to speak to Mina. I'm actually here to speak to and out of character. What was the name of the maid?
You don't know? Actually, you do. Mary.
I'm actually here to speak to Mary.
His eyes roll back and he sighs and he just holds up a finger. "Wait a moment." He disappears into the house, and after a short time, she comes out looking very confused.
Mary, I presume.
"Yes?"
Out of character, are we like? Did he like bring her out to the
No,
gate, or am
she's
I
there
going?
alone. She's behind the like shimmery magic barrier. You weren't let into the property, so you're standing outside of kind of that magical barrier, and she's standing on the other side of it.
I'll have to talk to Mina about that. Mary, I presume.
"Yes."
Mine. I am Lord Blackthorn. You can call me Zane. I wanted to speak to you about your time at the Dugent estate.
She suddenly looks very uncomfortable and kind of crosses her arms across her chest and looks back over her shoulder.
I understand that he mistreated you.
For the sake of brevity, it takes you a little while to get this information out of her, but eventually you convince her that you're a friend of Mina. She tells you that, yes, she was being beaten and that she is currently with child. That it got to the point where she was starting to feel fear that the beatings would hurt the child, so she sought and Vale Aaron took her in. But she felt very uncomfortable with all the men around in his estate. So he reached out to Mina and basically placed her as Mina's new servant. And Mina's been treating her very well.
Is the baby his?
Yes.
how do you feel towards Lord Dugent?
Are you really asking me that question?
I want to hear the words coming out of your mouth. It'll determine whether or not what I say next to you.
How about I wish someone could cut off his pecker?
That's a good answer. I give her a smile. What if I told you that I could ruin him in more ways than one, make him wish that he would die? Would you be willing to help someone who wanted to do that?
She looks back over her shoulder again. As long as it's nothing that's going to make Lady Mina upset. And if there's some incentive, something for me to help the baby, I'll sign my name right now.
Yes. Well, I can do all of that. And you just need to name your price.
She looks you up and down like she's kind of gauging your wealth. She kind of chews on her lip and says, 200 gold pieces?
Zane gives her a smile. Very well. 300 gold pieces. And all I really would like is, well, as much information as you that you gleaned while you were in his estate, and any friends that you would have made. I'd like to be introduced to them. Any workers in the estate, preferably a cook or a waiter of some sort.
I can do that, sir. How about you come back in a couple days? I'll have everything written down for you.
That sounds great. And as an incentive, and as a thank you, I'd like to provide you with a third of your payment. And I put my hand at the barrier. I guess I can't put my hand through the barrier. I put my hand up to the barrier with a bag full of 100 gold.
Okay. She's actually able to step through and she takes it, kind of looking at you cautiously, like she doesn't believe it. And then she opens the bag and kind of rummages around in it, looking like, wow, this is more money than she's ever had in her whole life. She gives you a very kind of sloppy curtsy and says, 2 days.
2 days. And I want you to understand that I genuinely want to avenge you and everybody else who Dugent has hurt. I hope you trust me, or at least that I earn your trust soon.
She kind of glances around again and gives you a little smile and says, "I can see why the lady likes you."
I can't help but hide a little smirk at the corner of my mouth, and I say, "You have a lovely day."
She nods and leaves. Anything else?
I mean, while I'm at it, I mean, is there anybody else doing
Come on,
anything?
people.
It feels like the Brett and Aramel show, or the Zane and Aramel show.
We're gonna get to some other stuff. I want to make sure you do what you need to do.
Okay. So yeah, Charlene is going to speak to Kamara now.
Okay, so let's say, is evening okay of the day that Aramel has gone?
Sure, sounds good to me.
Okay, so you guys have just sat down to have dinner.
So, w- with Aramel gone and Magnus still hasn't spoken to us again yet, and Zane out on his own warpath, to, to what, and of course everything else. What are what are we now? Or are we even still gonna be together?
Of course we are. It can take a couple of days for people to get over something this large, this traumatic.
And and could we? Could we get over this?
We can cope with it. We can deal. We can live. Probably will come up every so often. I think the guys just need time. Just that's all.
And now that we have Castellano, what is your plan with all of us? Or are you just planning on taking Castellano with you when we go do things if we're still gonna all be together?
At the moment, yes, but that's only because it's been what, a week or so? Not even. It's been a couple days. So I don't really want to think about leaving her. Um, but I I trust enough people that if we go somewhere and she needs to stay, she can stay with them.
Okay. I have been putting it to some thought, and if you did want to take her with us places, I'm trying to figure out something that we might be able to do. And I think with this staff I have, I think that I might have an answer to taking her with us.
Really? Like what?
So I studied what this staff is able to do, and I think that I might be able to like create a nanny for her.
Really? That's really cute. How, what kind of nanny would you like? An a bear or something?
Honestly, maybe. Um, I think that from my understandings, I might be able to do it with any animal or plant that she has, like that she would like. I, I I had the thought of maybe we could take her into the woods someday and see if anything calls out to her, and I'll try and do something.
That's really kind of you, Charlene. Let's see where we go and how everyone feels about taking Castellana. but that's very kind of you.
I'm glad to help.
How are you?
I I don't know.
When you do, let me know.
Oh, okay. I feel like that's how I am with you a lot lately. That when I figure things out, I'll come let you know.
Good, as long as we're on the same page with that. I push some sausage in your direction.
Sausage solves everything.
And yeah, sure, Charlene eats that. Yeah, I think that was pretty much the scene that I saw, so I'm good with moving on.
Okay. Anyone else?
Wait, has Magnus not come down at all?
Magnus, have you come down at all?
Mike?
Oh, shit, sorry. No, he hasn't come down.
I'm gonna bring a plate up to him.
Are you going to try to knock on the door? Because the door's locked.
Yeah, I'll knock on the door.
Okay, you don't hear anything because it's silent.
And then, oh, I don't know it's silent, but I'll cast message. Be like, I got food out for you. I brought it up. You open the door.
I'll open the door, and then I'll take the food.
Come down when you're ready.
You give a nod, and I close the door.
And I'll walk down the stairs.
Okay. Anything else?
I guess are you comfortable with me pursuing Marcus Emrys right now, or would you like me to put that off? Because I know it's the very last minute.
Yeah, that I need a little bit of time for that.
Gotcha. I think that's everything I wanted to do. I wanted to ask a few questions. Like out of character that Zane would know.
Okay.
What um what business is Dugent is the Dugent family in?
Okay. So you do know this because you I don't know if you remember you researched it earlier.
Yep.
Um
But that was before I started really writing things down. So
okay, that's fine. So he was in the textile industry. They own a lot of farmland where they grow cotton and they have sheep and all that kind of stuff. They are, if you don't remember, they are the house that pretty much ran out the errands. So the Aarons kind of had the textile industry until the Degents came in and overran them.
okay. All right, that's perfect. How big is the Dugent family?
So, as far as you know, it's Lord Dugent, his wife, and then he has a daughter and a grandchild. The grandchild was born in wedlock to a son in law who died mysteriously
And his
just
wife
over a year, just about a year ago.
and his wife is a child wife. You said.
No, no, she's
I seem to remember you
about
saying
his
something
age.
about that. Okay. So wife, child.
He has an adult daughter who's like 17, maybe.
That's important. That's important.
And then you remember that she has the son that you guys returned.
Okay, got. Oh, that's with a child. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. All right, I remember that. Just typing this stuff down. So it's Dugent, his wife, his 17-year-old daughter, and then the the child of that daughter.
Correct.
Um, who's the father of the child?
So from your research, you find out that it was a minor young nobleman who married her and um, died about a month afterwards from unknown causes.
Okay. Uh, so that all answered my third question. Who is in his family? Um, who is he allied with financially? Like, who are his partners financially? Any other noble families who are allied with him?
Are you going to spend some time in the library looking into this?
If I hadn't already looked into it, yes.
Okay. Um, Go ahead and make a investigation check with advantage.
Cool. Not cool.
Okay, so you spend some time in the library, kind of tracking down financial trails. You don't manage to find anything today.
I'll try again later.
Okay, is that it?
And I think that was it. The other one requires me to have be inside get more inside knowledge of the secrets of that Dugan is trying to keep secret. So I think I'm pretty much done. I'm gonna go
Okay,
home.
cool. Okay, so I'm assuming no one else wants to do anything else. So you guys kind of spend the day, most of you, reflecting on everything that's happened, trying to decide how you're going to go forward. Um, you make your way to bed, and it's about midnight when you guys hear a big commotion downstairs. You hear voices yelling, "We're back!"
I guess I'll be downstairs.
The first thing that you see is Maximus standing in the center of the common room. He's already kind of like nuzzling the table, sniffing around for anything that might have been left on it. Mina's loosely holding his reins, and she has Aramil by the back of his ear. It's like, look what I found.
Welcome back, Maximus. You know where you need to go. Good job, buddy.
He gives a huff and shakes his head, makes his way out to the stables. through the kitchen.
Maxis wasn't in any trouble?
He was very well behaved. Don't know how you do it, though.
Do what?
She glances at Aramel. Should I show him? Nah, I don't think so.
What? Don't know how I do what?
How do you deal with the chafing?
Aramel face plants.
Years and years and years and years and years of training.
I can't even imagine. Ugh.
I think I read in a book somewhere that you're not supposed to just loosely sit in the saddle. You're supposed to hold a certain position.
Yes, you're supposed to kind of squeeze is the simplest way of saying it.
She just raises an eyebrow and looks between the two of you.
Where did you read about that, Aramel?
Well, I had to learn about methods of transportation. I was studying to get my second tattoo.
I see.
It just came up.
Are you all right?
No, I think I am alright now. Size. How about you all? Zane? I don't know who else comes downstairs.
It's like midnight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sleeping.
I mean, you heard the noise. It's your choice if you decide to come down or not.
Yeah.
I burned off some anger and frustration by having an incredibly productive day.
Well, productivity is certainly good. What you end up doing? Aramel, like, sits down, just looks up at you, waiting for you to talk.
Little things here and there to further my goals.
It's a good way to complete a large goal over time, for sure. Really do
That
know
is
what
that
you're
is what I
doing.
can tell.
Mina goes off to the kitchen for a second while you guys are talking, and then she comes back and she has let's see, what's the equivalent of a medieval bag of peas?
A medieval bag of peas.
Okay, so she has like a bag of like frozen something. And she sits
Yeah,
down and puts it
that's-
on her thighs
that's
over her
important.
dress. And you could swear she swears in Elvish.
Aramel tries very hard to not apologize and says, Mina, what did you talk with Navu about? How long did you get to talk to her?
Just a few minutes, really. She's very charming.
Navu.
Oh, well, funny story. Actually, I left to go look for some help from the clan that I studied under and managed to find one of their members headed up to Amon. It made the trip very succinct for sure.
Will she be staying? Did she not arrive with you?
No, she's going to complete her training. She only has her training in spirit. If she wants to complete her Wu-Tang, she has to improve her body and mind as well. Aramil suddenly realizes he slipped into some Elvish nomenclature and says, "Oh, long story short, she's doing the same training as me. She is doing, like, I guess you'd call it an internship or an apprenticeship with another temple."
Well, I'm not going to pretend that I understand all of that, but, you know, I do understand the apprenticeship. I hope she does well. Is it usually very difficult?
It can take 1 to 7 years, depending on how easily it comes to you.
I see. How long did it take you?
To complete totally, 6 years. But I was preparing for it even before I started my journey.
Well, I'm glad to have you back.
You know, it is,
So, the elephant in the room.
yeah.
What exactly happened with Lysander? Where is he?
He is with Valerian.
She raises an eyebrow at you.
Apparently, he after, but before you and I left to take you back to your home, Lysander, what didn't end up feeding Maximus, he left, and he ended up on the beach outside of Valerian's. Oh wait, I wouldn't know this. Well, I guess I would.
You would know just about that much.
He somehow ended up, yeah, in at the beach near Valerian, and at Valerian, and he tried walking into the water, and Valerian stopped him, and he tore him up pretty bad, and then Valerian came to us accusing us of not taking care of him correctly, being Valerian.
He can be a little bit of a hothead. But to be honest, if there's anyone that can help your friend, it's him.
I don't doubt it. He may be an ass, but he's an honest and good ass, if that makes any sense.
She kind of smirks at your wording and tries not to comment on it.
But he made me very angry. But yeah, I'm over
I
it now.
would say that's one of his greatest talents.
And also, sucker punching someone in the nose.
What?
I'll tell you later.
That is a story I want to hear. But it still doesn't make sense to me.
What doesn't?
Why someone who had gone through so much would suddenly do something like that. I mean, I don't know him. You guys do, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, apparently we don't know him either. He's always been secluded, and yeah, I thought I mean, the before he left to try to kill himself, I thought we were bonding a bit, but I don't know.
Well, whenever you go through something traumatic, change the strength of your spirit, and that's gone. It sometimes is hard to move forward.
I'd agree with that.
Well, I've always liked a good mystery. I'll put my mind to it and see what I can figure out. But for now, I'm going to go to bed. Maybe by morning this will be healed.
Maybe. Good night, Mina.
Good night.
If you feel better.
She stands and does her little hand wave and disappears.
Well, I think I'll be going to bed as well. Was there anything else you want to talk about?
Uh, Nothing in particular. Are you willing to go talk to Bill Aaron? I was hoping to go with everyone.
I think we're all gonna avoid going to Valerin's, especially this soon. And I would suggest giving it a bit of time. Hey, I'm not your keeper.
Time for what though? What is going to happen over time?
Valorant's gonna work his magic,
He's
and
going to
stop
use
it, and he'll calm down.
he's going to use magic to help Lysander.
He's going. It's a turn of phrase, Aramel. He's going to work his magic. It
Like a
means he's going to do whatever he's best at.
oh, that's one I've never heard, especially considering people do have magic that they can use. But
Well, it's a turn of phrase for people who don't use magic, especially us humans.
interesting. Well, I never studied under humans before, so
Well,
learn more about culture every day.
especially my special kind of culture. You stick around, I'll probably tell you a bit more.
I think I've learned a little bit from Mina's books too. Do you know? And he starts to show a diagram of something that will not be mentioned.
Oh my god, now you've got to mention it.
I gotta know how to react.
He shows you what appears to be some very complicated knots used for a fun type of restraint where the person tied up can tighten it or loosen it without too much effort.
And you have to wonder what kind of books Mina's been showing him.
So is it just showing like how to make the knots, or is it showing like naked people in on the
No,
pages or something?
he's just illustrating like a certain type of like knot rope. Like he's explaining how to tie ropes in certain ways that he'd never heard of before.
Well, that sounds like a useless way to tie a knot. If the person can get out of it, what's the use of it?
Well, sometimes people need to or enjoy being restrained. Like if you need to meditate, for example, but you keep on falling over, it's a good way to keep your posture. And you don't want to force someone to stay like that.
I don't know. Sounds kind of dumb and silly to me.
Well, so does the the phrase "work your magic," but
Well, the more you use it, the more you'll find that it makes a lot of sense.
well, I'll keep an ear out for it then.
And I guess the more I use those knots, it'll be the same. I don't know. I don't really see the use of tying a knot that someone can get out of, but I'll
Well,
keep an
just
open mind.
just know people do it. Maybe you'll see someone tied like that one day.
Sure.
Okay. So we are moving on.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to bed. Good night, Aramil.
Mm, yeah, you too.
Okay, so my question for you guys um, is there anything that you guys want to do between now and the Summer Moon Festival?
I
So
just
that
want to
would
do
be
one thing.
2 days.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Kamara.
When we wake up and Aramel's awake and everything, just gonna go after Aramel. I I went to see Valerian and he's with Lysander and he's not leaving his side. Just thought you would want to know that.
Arimel nods. And is he being treated right?
Yes. As right as he can be treated. Just,
As right as he can be treated.
well, I mean, he doesn't really know how to heal him. So he's still a little rough, but he's in his bed and very comfortable. And he's giving him as much as he can possibly give him.
Little rough. You don't mean... Hold on. He does an illustration of someone bondage tied to a bed like this?
No.
I mean, there were shackles.
No, like after he tried to kill himself, it was still, you know, he still hurts from the ribs and everything, and whatever else is, because it's really hard to kill an angel, right? So he had to do a lot, and also the fight with Valerian is just, that's all. Just taking time to heal, just like you do.
Well, I didn't need time. I needed to... Oh, actually, Mara,
Hmm.
I needed some extra training and a little bit of magic, but now I've got a good portion of my strength back. Actually, your advice has been very helpful. Just wanted to let you know that. Uh, you really do have that. Uh, I guess you described it as hope that kept you strong. I think I'm understanding it a little more every time I learn something about
That's good. It's very good. It's not easy all the time, but I'm glad you're learning about it.
it. And you think that it's best for us to stay away from both Vale, Aaron, and Lysander now?
Yes, for a bit. I think it's a lot, all of everything he went through and everything we've gone through. I think just having a break from people and things and drama is just good for any soul.
But what about his darkness? Who's going to help him with that? Think Vale Aaron will?
Yes. And I think he will. We all have darkness in us.
I don't think we quite have the same darkness that Ender
No,
does.
no. But I'm half demon, so like I was born this way. And we can't really focus on the darkness that we were born with or that happened to us. We just have to focus on how we act and how we make a mark in the world. And Lysander's gonna make a good mark in the world no matter what.
Aramil nods. If only he could realize that himself.
I think
And
he will
truly believe it.
eventually. Yeah. I hope he does. I think he will.
Well, I'm back now. I have done what I set out to do. We have the festival in a day. We have some mysteries to unravel. But with everything that we and Mina have been through, I think maybe we can start by helping her out with the festival.
I'm actually kind of excited about it. I haven't gone in a while.
What's this? Have you been to this festival before?
A couple of times.
Aramil sits down at the table. So what would we expect here?
Well, if you don't want to be kissed, make sure you wear a shirt because there will be a lot of kissing. Um, and
Kamara,
it's
you
just
know that sorry to interrupt, but you know that it's like a pin that you wear. It's a like a half moon upside down,
okay.
and that indicates no.
Like
A pin. Just make sure you wear this pin and half moon upside down, because there will be kissing, and you're not bad looking, so people will try to kiss you, and it's
Is
just very joyous.
Is that bad?
No, I mean, depends on how you feel about strangers kissing you.
Like a parent would kiss a child, or like a lover would kiss a lover?
In the middle.
Very interesting.
It can be.
Okay, is there anything else that anyone wanted to do?
Hmm. I want to make the rest of these days kind of count for something, but I'm mainly just waiting for things at the moment.
Okay. So I'm gonna move forward, and if you want to grab my attention, please. Um, so the second day passes, um, or excuse me, the first day passes. On the second day, a visitor shows up at the llama. Actually, three visitors. Um, Zane, you immediately recognize. Hang on a second, because I have a picture of this. You immediately recognize Lily Lenore, and she appears with two friends about the same age. They're dressed very well in kind of what you'd consider to be travel clothes. And they enter the llama at about midday, kind of looking around curiously, arm in arm with each other. And Lily goes up to Minxie and asks about you. And then Minxie directs her over to, I guess, where you guys are. I'm just taking initiative here.
Yeah, I guess I'm just sitting down eating somewhere or chilling or whatever.
Magnus, have you come down yet? Or are you still hiding out?
No, I'd probably come down.
Okay, so we're going to say that the whole group of you is eating lunch. When you see these three young noble women approach, they're all dressed very well, and they come up, and the one in the middle, she's kind of a buxom blonde with starry, kind of looking blue eyes, very pretty. And she comes up and gives a curtsy to Zane.
He stands and bows. What do I owe the pleasure of your visit?
It's an odd thing, really. My mother doesn't let me out much. But I had a spare afternoon, me and my friends, and we were wondering if we could bother you for a moment.
Is there something I can help you with?
She kind of glances over your friends. Uh, Her eyes linger on Kamara for a second. She blinks a couple times and then looks back at you. Actually, we were wondering if you might provide us with an escort.
Where to?
One of her friends whispers something in her ear and she kind of hushes her. Well, we've heard all about the stories of you taking on the monsters at Thordak's lair. We'd really like to see it. Not go inside, but just go to the outside, maybe look down. We've heard so much about it that the guards won't let us anywhere near it, but with you, I bet they would.
Unfortunately, it's not very exciting. It's just a deep hole that fades to black.
Maybe it's not for you, but we've never seen it.
Well, how rude of me. Lily, this is Kamara, Magnus, Aramil, and Charlene. Everyone, this is Lily Lenore.
Hello.
She gives a very graceful curtsy.
Well, I don't see the harm in it. I certainly could. I have some. I have an opening for most of this for my afternoon. Would you like to go now?
Yes. She drops her friend's arm and takes yours. And she waves at all of you sitting there and assuming that you let her, she leads you out.
Aramil gives him a head bow, just a head tilt as they leave. What about the two
Sure.
friends?
Sorry, what was that last thing you said?
What about the two friends standing next to her that she unceremoniously just dropped?
So they take each other's arms and kind of follow behind the Zane and
Out of character, I was about to say, oh, you do something different with your hair? Because the last time you described her, she had the same raven black hair as her mother.
No. Her mother had the black hair with the white streak. She had blonde hair in a braid.
I seem to remember you say that she had raven black hair, but maybe you said blonde, and I thought you said black.
Maybe.
Could have been.
I definitely had her pictured as a blonde, but we'll just disagree. Okay, so
As they all leave, Charlene just waves to them and says, "Have a good day."
I'm wondering how all of you guys react to that.
Zane turns to that, and he makes a very stern face with a slight head shake.
I
You
wonder what
notice
Mina
quite
would
a
think of this, Aramil says after they leave.
yeah, you notice quite a few patrons glance up as Charlotte says that, and you guys walk out.
Could I like retroactively insight check the reason why they wanted to go into Thordex Cave?
Sure.
And
Nope,
Charlene
seems legit.
is.
Well, I guess Mina isn't his only choice.
You know, that's the premise of one of the books that she shared with me. Rangers in Bondage, actually. It starts with this exact scenario.
So, out of
Maybe
character, is
she
this the
read it.
first time that Aramel's mentioned this book in my presence?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm taking a sip, and when he says Rangers in Bondage, I start choking on the. I'm a dwarf. Ale. It's ale. I don't care.
Are you alright,
You've
Magnus?
been reading what?
Oh, it's just a book called Rangers in Bondage.
Where did? Why do you? Kamara, why did you give him these books?
It was Mina.
But wait,
He literally just said Mina gave him a book.
but
I read this one.
you're so much more likely to give that type of. Do you know what type of book that is?
Yes. And I have better options. There are better options than that.
What type of book is this?
Uh,
Aramil just
it,
butts in, it's a romance book. It is a novel about two people that have strong feelings for each other as they go on their journey together.
It's more than just romance.
but that's a
Yeah,
That-
it's actually
term.
informational too. I learned a lot from
Oh
it.
God, Aramel. And I'd look at Kamara. Do we need to have the talk with you?
with me?
Humans are
With
pretty interesting.
Aramel? Do you and me need to have
Oh.
the talk with?
I think he knows a lot, but I mean, he's learning.
Oh God.
Well, romance was not one of the topics that was ever really brought up, and I didn't stay in any one place for long to really be able to explore those options. Seems like there's a lot of different things that people would do together.
There is.
Yeah.
Well, at
Choose
least
the
you're
very
only reading.
things.
At least you're reading only the one book.
Well, no, actually. We've shared quite a number at this point.
I just sit there, rethinking everything I know about Mina.
Oh,
I feel like you've
do you want
never
one?
noticed.
Ramel, what do you feel about these books?
Well,
I
they're
don't
not.
think that's a conversation we should have while I'm eating.
Aramil takes a bite of some bread. Well, they're not that well written, and the content in them, it seems pretty light. That's why it seems more informational about some of the things people may do if they enjoy each other's company and want to form a deeper bond.
Okay. So it's not very raunchy or anything. It's very light.
I'm
Oh no,
not.
they're definitely raunchy.
I'm not exactly sure what this word raunchy is.
Like very descriptive and
Yes, it's informational.
so you know what sex is and everything.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
you can picture in your mind.
I mean, of course we know what sex is from a younger age. Just never knew it to be so varied and interesting.
See, he's learning.
Is it common knowledge?
Bondage is not as common with sex. Um, I mean, people love it all the time, do it all the time, but it's not. It's kind of like private and everything. Um, so what you're reading, probably raunchy, based on the title.
Oh, I see. So the more explicitly instructive it is, the more it would be considered raunchy then.
Yes.
Oh. And is that a good use to word to describe it? When talking with others, should I call it raunchy?
No.
All right, then I'll remain with my previous explanation of informative. It seems like you want to read it, Magnus.
I'm gonna get up and get my stuff and say, alright, after this conversation, I'm going to the temple. Y'all need Sarenrae. And I walk out.
She would probably like it too.
Hmm. Hey, Kamara, Charlene,
Yes.
Yeah.
would you like to do something around the city today?
Yeah. Like what?
What do you have in mind?
Well, we have been eating at the llama a lot, and the food is very nice, but it would be nice to see some of the other buildings and attractions and food offered here.
As you're saying this, Aramil, a woman walks in with like a little 3-year-old. Seems to be coming in to get some lunch, and the little girl points up at the sign that has the llama on it and says, "Amma." And hearing her say that kind of reminds you of something you heard just yesterday. They go to the counter and order some food.
Irmo zones out for a second and shakes his head. Well, if it were, if I were back in my home, he would go climb trees and meditate. Fun, for sure, but apparently not that common. sometimes if we were really goofing off, we would try our best to imitate some of the wildlife. When you're completely still in the trees, they eventually start to approach you, and you can just speak right back to them once you hear them chittering away.
That does actually sound like fun.
Aramil smiles. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I think that that does sound like some. You know what I think would be fun with that? Maybe we could give Minxie a bit of a break and take her kids out to go commune with animals and plants.
Do you think they have enough training to do that?
Probably.
Well,
I
let's give it
think
a
that they
shot.
seemed at least interested enough that it could be worth inviting them.
I mean, that sounds like a good idea to me. Let's let Minxie know and ask them. In the other order.
Okay. Minxie absolutely gives you permission to take the kids out for the day. Just says stay away from the beach.
Gonna bring
Nowadays,
us one.
if something like that happened, I think that they'd walk away with the pet giant crab more than being afraid of one.
Speaking of pets, um, Bailey insists on bringing Mr. Tom, who has now become rather attached to Bailey and is sitting across his shoulders.
And is definitively not a spy.
Okay, so
Right, GM? You didn't say anything when I said it's not a spy.
I made you
Dun
talk to
dun
it.
dun!
Are you gonna cut it open and check its insides? I mean, okay.
Now you have me worried that it's a doppelganger. Are you having me cut it open?
Mimic.
So, in the most adorable fashion, the three of you take Bailey and Bree by the hand and make your way out to the perimeter of where you spend the afternoon on the edge of the forest, climbing trees, picking berries, all that kind of fun stuff. If you want to narrate that anymore, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to move on.
Um, I would like to specifically see if I could keep an eye out for what type of animals might be around here. If I could see any tracks that tell me something that might be around. Um, Charlene's ulterior motive is to do a little bit of testing for what she might want to try and gift Castiama.
Okay, make a survival check. Okay. You notice some deer tracks. Um, you notice some deer droppings. There's lots of plants. There's butterflies. You see some birds in the trees and some rabbits kind of in the underbrush. But anything more specific than that has been driven away by the sound and sight of the children playing.
That's and then one last thing along that line that she's gonna do is she's just going to check if there are any apes within 5 miles.
Any apes?
Yeah. Um, because this locate animals or plants, you could pick a specific type of beast. So right now she decided to pick ape.
No, there are no apes.
Okay.
Good God, I hope not.
Yeah, like it would be kind of strange, but like she's like, yeah, let's pick something with opposable thumbs and see if it's around.
Okay, anything else about that outing?
Um, at some point during that, she is going to try to see with the kids if they like she's gonna do like very basic druidic exercises, kind of to try to see if they have any aptitude to maybe learning that at some point.
Bree has amazing aptitude to tie flowers into your hair and to squish berries.
Good.
Aramil appreciates this very much and would very willingly accept flowers tied in his hair. Would offer to do the same back. He
Oh,
would,
she'll tie hundreds of flowers in your hair if you sit and let her.
yeah. He's going to instruct them as she does that about the basics of meditation, how to channel your focus such that you are able to focus on your breathing. And and I tell them once they're able to do that, animals will just come to you because you're so calm and one with nature. Isn't that exciting? Now let's give it a shot. If you can truly be in that place for 5 minutes, I'll help you get up the tree so you can see all of them on. He points to a nearby tall tree.
She gets really excited and completely is not calm, and then like holds up her arms for you to put her on your back to take her up the.
Maybe giving a reward is not the best way to help someone focus. Well, that's my fault then. Alright, up you go. He sort of puts her on his back and tells her to hold on. Also make sure that like she can sort of like brace her feet on the on his backpack slash rolled up bedroll that he holds on him, and he climbs up the tree until he gets to the very top. Yeah, he balances himself on top and says, "Oh, here we go. This is a tall one, so take a look. We can see over the wall."
And that's when she throws up on you.
Hmm. Guess I should also teach you which berries are poisonous.
You get the distinct impression that she's afraid of heights, and she has just now realized that.
Well, here, let's go down. Uh,
Char
how far?
Charlin, sorry, go ahead.
How far is it? Aramil can just sort of float down almost.
Oh, I mean, it depends on what tree you climbed. 20 feet, maybe
Yeah,
30
he
feet.
can just float down at almost.
Okay, so you guys make it back to the ground. In the meantime, Charlene, you're doing some of the most basic druid craft type spell, and talking to Bailey, who's just absolutely fascinated. And it doesn't take him long to pick up the spell from you. So, what spell do you teach him?
Um, Based on ones that I could actually do, probably shape order.
Is that a cantrip?
Yes.
Okay, so Bailey has now learned how to cast shape water.
Awesome.
And you kind of spend the afternoon. He's thrilled. He can't wait to go home and show his mom. And he's also talking to you about all the pranks that he could play with us.
Oh no. So sure, Charlott's going to go. But you have to remember when you get special abilities like this, you have to make sure that you're good with them. You have to make sure not to do too much bad.
Okay, Miss Charlene, I'll be just like you.
Uh, Good.
Okay. Unless again, anyone wants to do anything else in this adorable little outing with vomit and druid spells, we're gonna move on.
Um, while saying make sure to do good with it, Charlene is going to use some shape water to try to clean Aramel off if he is good.
Aramel will. He doesn't mind getting wet. He just washes himself off in the jet of water provided by Charlene.
Okay, and
Okay.
that's all.
Okay. So skipping over to Zane. You escort the three ladies to back to the Cloud Top District, um, having no trouble getting inside, and end up taking them basically through the guards who do stop you, but then realizing who you are, they let you through, and you end up basically taking them to the elevator where they spend a good 15 minutes like looking down and throwing pebbles down and asking you questions about how far down it is. They yell down into the crater, let things echo, and they find it really fascinating. Or at least Lily's friends do. Lily's spending much more time talking to you than she is paying attention to the crater, just making small talk. After about 15 minutes, her friends turn to her and say that they're going to go back. They bow, or excuse me, they curtsy and tell you thank you. And they leave. And she leads you back out of the Thordak area. And she kind of gives a forlorn sigh.
Is there a problem? Did you not have fun?
Oh no, it was absolutely wonderful. It's just that my mother doesn't let me out often. For whatever reason, she said that I could spend as much time as I wanted to with you. I just really don't want to go back to that house. It's like a prison sometimes. And Zane, you can kind of relate to this with your
Oh,
upbringing.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely understand. I spent all of my life cooped up in the Blackthorn estate, and when when my mom would let me out, uh, it was mainly to get the crap beaten out of me by my sword arts instructor.
I would say that sounds terrible, but you haven't met my dancing instructor. She is rather vicious.
I can only imagine. My dancing instructor was quite polite.
So I know you're a busy man, but do you have more free time?
Is there more you'd like to do?
Anything, really. I've never had this sort of freedom. Sort of wonder what's going on in Mother's head.
You don't really know? Are you being? I'm gonna insight her, see if she's telling the truth.
Sure.
Not my day for rolls today.
Yeah, you can't really tell. Could
Are
we do
you
something outside of the city?
outside of the city? Like
You
what?
know, maybe go for a ride, or I know a really good spot to pick some berries. My friends and I used to do that as children. It's been forever.
Do you really not know what your mom's trying to do?
She gives a sigh. I may be innocent, but I'm not dumb. Yes, I've figured it out, but I know that I have no chance. So will you just let me at least enjoy this?
Uh, he looks at her with and he's got a very um, somber expression on his face. What is it that you want? Not what your mother wants, but what is it that you want?
What do you mean, what do I want? I just asked you if you take me outside the city.
I'm talking about with your life. What do you want?
Oh, that's funny.
And I don't see me laughing.
I mean, you're noble. I don't really get to have what I want. I just do what I'm told.
But if you could,
I don't know.
you don't have any dreams or aspirations. Has it all already been beaten out of you?
I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I guess I'd want to get married and have kids. That's what we're supposed to do. I mean, all I'm really good for is dancing and being polite, looking nice. That's what I know.
That's what you know, but that's not all you're good for.
She kind of looks at you like she's reevaluating you. Well, maybe I'll give some thought to it.
Well, you'll have plenty of time to think about it as we go and pick berries. Go ahead and we can ride we can ride on my horse Maximus. He's quite a rare breed.
That sounds amazing.
And
Um,
I
yeah,
I I, I want to let you know that if I weren't already interested in someone else, I would be interested in you.
she kind of looks a little disappointed. My mother's not going to like that very much.
I know.
I've got to pretend to try.
Let's
Will
enjoy
you,
each other's company.
will
I
you
would
at least pretend
very
to
much,
give me a chance so I don't get in trouble?
certainly. I would actually enjoy being friends with you.
That sounds very nice. And she lets you take her back to the llama where you guys get up on Maximus. And again, long story short, you spend the afternoon making small talk, kind of out outside the gates, picking berries. She tells you a lot about her upbringing, like the education that she's had. She asks you a lot about yours. Um, so you kind of get an idea of what life is like for her and Amon, and it's very similar to what you experience. Although with the differences that you're a man, she's a woman, so she's very very limited as compared to how you were raised. She's pretty well educated. She doesn't seem particularly interested in education. She doesn't strike you as the brightest person, but she's very, from what you can tell, sweet natured.
Um, I try to bring the conversation around to her mother. I say, how do you feel that she would act or react upon hearing my decision
Your decision.
about you?
Do you mean she's already asked you? I just
We
assumed.
we've had an understanding.
Not happy. She's used to getting her way. She sits
So
down in the grass and kind of pulls your arm to pull you down next to her.
I sit down next to her and I say, "So how much do you know about me?"
Well, I know the stories that I've heard, that you're a hero. I've heard that you've slain many monsters and that you're very popular with the women of the city. And I suppose if my mother is interested in this, then you must be wealthy.
Hmm. I see. Well, all of all of that is true. I mean, wealthiness. I don't really compare very much to your mother, but yes, I mean, well, I'll just leave it at that.
So forgive me for being bold, but I didn't expect you to be like this.
What did you expect?
Every other nobleman, she kind of rolls her eyes.
The pompous assholes.
Yes. She kind of blushes when you use that word.
Well, I wasn't raised like most nobles, and I really am being honest with myself. I don't, and I'm being honest with you. I truly don't see myself fully as a noble. I'm a noble in blood, and I've been trained to do things, but I don't see myself as one.
Again, not to be bold, but she kind of gives you a pretty blush. If you have any doubt, maybe that this other person you're attached to isn't right for you, would you at least consider me?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And she stands up and brushes off her dress and indicates that she's ready to go back.
Well, don't don't tell your mother about anything until you've had all the freedom that you can handle.
Thank you.
I help her back onto Maximus and ride back.
Okay. She says her farewells, giving you a kiss on the cheek, and makes her way back to the Cloud Top district. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I have so much content plans, and we haven't gotten to like almost none of it. Um, so, anything else?
Yes. Aramil checks the letter that he was given. See who the recipient is.
The recipient is the Port of Amman Harbor Master.
All right.
And the letter's not like sealed or anything.
So it's just like a sheet of paper that he can read.
Yeah.
All right, he'll read it then.
So it's basically talking about how about a week ago, a group of sea elves witnessed the sinking of a ship just off the coast of the Osmit Sea, about 10 or 15 miles south of Amman. And and this is in quotes, mysterious circumstances. But they felt that it was important to let the harbor master know that when they searched, there were no survivors, and they wanted them to notify the families.
All right, then after they're back from their extravaganza of a time with the children, he hand in the note to the harbor master. He'll go there and find who to talk to and hand the note to him.
Okay, you have no trouble finding him. You're eventually directed to him, and he looks very grim when you hand him the. And he thanks you. He tells you that the ship was due back in port about a week ago, and it never showed up. They never heard anything from anyone. But he does, as he's walking away, he's muttering mysterious circumstances.
Hey, if there's a need for an investigation, let me know and I would be glad to help.
He turns back to you and says, well, this is the second such ship that we've lost on that very route.
Certainly sounds troublesome.
We can't offer much, but if you're willing to make the effort, I'm sure the families of these men would be glad to know what their fate was.
Aramel nods. If something is going on with the ocean, we need to make sure that everything's okay. Unnatural circumstances is a code word in my mind for make sure everything is alright with the world, don't you think?
I guess.
If you have any more information uh, and are able to just organize it, please let me know and I would be happy to investigate it.
And he gets your name and your information and says he'll be in contact.
Aramil gives him a polite bow and heads off.
Okay, anything else, guys?
Nope.
I want to get to something that you to the thing that you hinted to me.
Probably not going to get to it tonight.
Oh no! How much
Unless
longer?
you guys can stay up late, which I certainly know that Josh can't.
I totes can.
Okay,
Totes.
so
Totes and
very last chance before we come to the morning of the Harvest Moon Festival, or sorry, the Summer Moon Festival.
Is this the day? The maid said 2 days. Is
It
when
would
would
be
that
the
be?
it would be the day after the festival,
Gotcha.
says the GM, so she can have time to prepare.
I know.
Okay, going once, going twice. Great. Okay. So everyone has been told that the way that this works is people sleep in till about noon the morning of the festival. Sort of tradition that none of the shops are open, nothing's going on in the morning because everyone is planning on pulling an all nighter. What you understand from your schedule of the day, or at least the important things that you're aware of, is that Charlene, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. The menagerie starts at about 1 p.m. It's open for 2 to 3 hours. And at about 5 o'clock, Mina has requested that you all present yourself at the um, King Uriel, the third Memorial Theater, which is in the Cloud Top District, for her fashion show. And then the normal festivities start at about 8 p.m. So you guys wake up. The kids are already up, excited. It's almost like a real life Christmas. They're bouncing around. Bailey immediately runs up to you, Charlene. I can't wait. I can't wait. I bet it's going to be incredible.
What are you most excited to see?
Everything. And Mr. Tom can't wait either. He's so excited, right, Mr. Tom? The cat looks definitively unexcited. You're still going with me, right?
Of course.
So he disappears into the back, and Minxie serves you guys a quick lunch. And are all of you going to go to the menagerie?
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
The menagerie is the zoo, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Kamara, I'm assuming you're taking Castellano. It would probably be something that would be really fun for her.
Yeah, of course I am.
What is what shit? I had it and then I lost it. Oh, when was the fashion show supposed to be today too?
Yeah. So the menagerie starts
Did
around
you like
1.
totally say it and then I just didn't hear it?
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
That's okay. So the menagerie first, and then the fashion show, and then the evening celebrations, like the actual festival, usually starts at about 8 p.m.
And are you is that when you can get like the
The
pin that
pins and yeah, all of that.
Gotcha. All right, yeah, of course. Let's go to the zoo.
Everyone going, even the grumpy dwarf.
Yeah, I'll probably go.
Okay. So Minxie and Greer stick around to get everything prepped for that night. Apparently, it's a really big night of business for the tavern. But they let you take the kids, and you guys go out into the street, which is just covered in gaudy, glittery streamers, and everyone's like kind of starting to wake up and go out and about. Um, it's Kamara, you're familiar with this, and your spirit kind of rises as you see this. There's already like games being set up and kids running around. There's like a maypole already set up, and some of the teenage ladies are practicing like they're dancing and everything. Um, the menagerie has been set up in the upper slums. So you guys cross the town and make your way there. And I totally didn't notice the elephant humping the thing in the background. Oh my god. It was hard to find a picture for this, you guys.
Uh,
I love it.
Oh my god, that's perfect. I did not.
That's so good.
is that a tiger? It's striped.
I don't know.
Oh my god.
I was like loading my map and I'm like, okay, animals and oh.
Oh no.
I feel like that's going to be a scene that actually happens.
And that monkey's totally about to like grab that bird and just tear it apart. The one flying in the air.
Okay, you had to give me a break. There's not many pictures out there for fantasy zoos. I tried.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I think
perfect. I
this
love
is a
it.
good picture.
Um,
Is that bird supposed to be a Quetzalcoatlus?
yes.
Cool.
Okay. So you guys make your way into the upper slums. There's drums going, there's music going, and a section of the town is kind of cordoned. Um, you guys go up, you have to wait in kind of a long line, but there's people selling popcorn and candies and candied apples and anything you can imagine. All the hawkers are coming up and trying to sell you stuff as you wait in line. Oh, by the way, Charlene, when Bailey emerges to escort you to the zoo, he is dressed very well and his hair is slicked back. And he reaches out to take, he like reaches out your arm for you to hold it. He's apparently taking this date thing very seriously.
She humor.
Okay. So after about 15 or 20 minutes of standing in line, you guys come up on a couple of greeters who tell you that it's 5 gold pieces for entry, which is quite a sum for most people. But you do see the commoners paying it, and you get the impression that the menagerie has been here before and it's been worth. So I'm assuming everyone pays their way and makes their way in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And did Minxie give us money for this, or were we just gonna pay that?
Oh, yes. So she actually gave you 20 gold pieces and said, please don't come back with any animals.
Charlone's going to say, not for them at least.
She kind of gives you a dangerous look and but lets you off at that. Okay. So this is not what any of you had expected. Probably the only one who may have, other than Kamara, who may have attended this before. That's up to her. Maybe Zane, at some point, you might have seen some kind of menagerie. What you expected was bars and animals behind bars, hands off, able to look at them but not touch them. This is something completely different. It's almost like a chaotic petting zoo. There are animals everywhere and they are loose and wandering around, and people are petting them and they're behaving themselves. You see everything from lions and tigers and bears, polar bears, to hippopotamuses, to crocodiles, lynxes, flamingos. I'm taking inspiration from the picture. Some monkeys, lemurs. There is an elephant. Shit. There is an elephant. They even have an aquatic section with some like strange fish, all kinds of aquatic mammals, crabs. They have a giant crab, a living giant crab. But strangely enough, any of these creatures that are aggressive, the tigers, the wolves, you can walk right up and just interact with them. Charlene, they seem very well cared for and very well behaved. There's a couple giraffes and some of the greeters are giving pony rides on the giraffes and the elephants and the camel. So the kids are waiting in line for that. But beyond the ordinary, there are quite a few extraordinary creatures as well. Let me pull up my list here. The first thing that you come across is a very, very large lizard-like creature that has a mask on its face. And this is nothing you've ever seen before. When you inquire about it, you find out that this is a basilisk. And the greeter explains to you that it's wearing the mask because its gaze can turn people into stone. Bailey goes up and unafraid pets it. and it seems to like the attention. Um, the next thing that you come across are some creatures that look very much like a panther, but they have these kind of vine kind of tendrils coming out of their back. And as you watch, they're playing with each other, and one of them will like disappear and reappear in another spot. It's quite amusing, and there's a large crowd gathered around them. And when you inquire, you're told that these are displacer beasts. You make your way a little further into the menagerie, where you encounter a griffin. It's the first time any of you have ever seen this type of creature. Um, you are actually able to walk up and pet its beak. It has like the head of an eagle, the body of a lion, and wings. And they give you some raw meat that you can toss at it and feed it. They're also offering griffin rides, but it's for an extraordinary sum of 100 gold pieces. You haven't seen anyone take them up on it yet. Making your way further into the menagerie, you've been there for quite a while now, petting all the animals. You see another animal that none of you recognize. It's got leathery skin. It's four-legged. It's almost a little bit like a hippopotamus, but it has three horns on its head, and it's easily twice the size of a hippopotamus. Two of the horns are above its eyes, and one is on its nose. And when you inquire about this creature, you're told that it's called a triceratops. The kids are definitely interested in this. Every time it moves, the ground shakes, and they go up to pet it. It's not really pleasant to pet. It feels like old dried out leather, but it is very polite and kind of is careful where it steps as the kids approach it. I have more to say, but if there's anything that you guys in particular want to do, tell me.
We can't fight T-Rex, right?
No, there are no T-Rexes.
Wait, didn't you just say Tyrannosaurus?
No, I said a Triceratops.
Triceratops. Sorry. I don't know why I was thinking that. Can we ride the Triceratops?
Oh,
Just a
absolutely.
dinosaur.
You talk to the handlers, and they're happy to give you a ride on the Triceratops for the meager sum of 25 gold pieces. But
Yeah.
they say that they'll let you take the baby.
Yeah. Castiam and I will ride a Triceratops.
I love it.
For a second, when you said that they said that they'll let you take the baby, I was picturing that they were trying to sell a baby Triceratops.
No, like they'll let her take the baby at no extra cost.
Yeah, like like I understood that after the first second, but for the first second, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like Minxie wasn't joking when she said, "Don't buy any animals."
So Kamara, it's rather awkward. You kind of have to sit side saddle on it because there's absolutely no way you can straddle it. It's a giant creature.
Right.
But you kind of get boosted up, and it behaves so well. Charlene, you're just absolutely impressed with all of these animals, and you do get the sense that there must be someone here who is like you and who is training these animals very well. You guys watch in amazement as everyone watches in amazement, really, as this beautiful Typhling woman and baby are led around on the back of this giant, monstrous creature. Um, you hear you you hear one comment from the crowd, Kamara. Look at all those horns. Between you, the Triceratops, and Kostayama,
Lots of horns.
lots of horns.
They're very horny.
So throughout the course of this, at some point, animals come up to you guys. Every once in a while, like a bird will land on your arm or your hand or your shoulder or your head. It's very entertaining. At one point, a snowy owl comes and lands right on top of Magnus's head, and it just stays perched there for quite a while. Good 5-10 minutes. And unbeknownst to Magnus, it's kind of like doing like a little dance with its wings as he's walking around. So you kind of pass the afternoon just really enjoying this. And right as you're starting to consider leaving, make sure that you have time to make it to the fashion show, something catches your eye, Charlene. It's a little ball of fur, not little, maybe about the size of a lynx, that's curled up in one of the corners. And unlike all the other animals, which seem vibrant and happy, this one is just kind of laying with its head between its front paws.
Charlene's gonna go over to that and take a look.
As you approach, it raises its head to look at you, and your heart kind of skips a beat because it's so flipping adorable. And I didn't think to get a picture, I'm sorry. But what you see in front of you is an absolutely beautiful white cat. It's on the large side for a cat. Like I said, it's about the size of a lynx. It has tufted white ears, big, big blue eyes, and it has tufts of fur coming out from between its like its toes. It's very furry, long-haired, with a long tail that just poofs upwards and has just hair everywhere. But it also has a pair of wings. It looks at you, it blinks a couple times, and it puts its head back between its paws.
Aren't you the cutest little thing?
Meow.
Charlene's going to cast Speak with Animals and see if she could speak to it.
Okay. You start communicating with it, and you realize that this is a very intelligent creature. It speaks to you just as if you were speaking to one of your friends. So, what are you going to say to it?
Hi there, what's your name?
They call me Coatl Cat.
Coatl Cat?
You've heard of coatls before? They're like snakes that have wings.
Yeah. And when she mentions that, well, I'm calling her a she, but yeah, when Quaddle Cat mentions that, does Charlene get the idea that she is like Quaddle like with the wings and all of that?
Yeah, she definitely looks like a cat version of a coatl. She also doesn't seem surprised that you're talking to her. It's apparent that she's very accustomed to that. My God, I'm gonna have to close the screen because this elephant is just pissing me off. Okay, so for a moment, I'm not looking at the text.
Okay. So, do you like it here?
She looks around a little bit and looks sad. I do. It's very nice here. I just miss my kits.
Oh, where are they?
In our journey down here, they were stolen.
Who who would do such a thing?
I'm not sure. It was very late at night, and there was a dark shadow from above. And then they were gone.
And whatever it was stole your kids straight out of the menagerie?
Yes.
W- What did the trainers do when that happened?
They tried to find them, but they couldn't. They spent a day looking, but then we had to move on.
So, are any of you guys watching Charlene speaking to this Quaddle Cat? Or were you all like around doing your own thing?
Depends on if you're talking to the Quaddle Cat when I'm on the Triceratops or not.
You would have been done.
All right, then yeah, I'm watching.
So yeah, Charlene's gonna turn to you guys and say her kids have been stolen straight out of the menagerie. Something, a shadow came by and then they were gone.
How long ago?
How long ago did she say it was?
3 days. She tells you a little bit about it. They were making their way down from a festival in Craghammer when they stopped outside of a very small town called Gore, Gore. And they were camping for the night. And again, she was sleeping and she woke to seeing a dark shadow from above. And when she looked, the kits were gone.
And Charlene pretty much tells the story how Quaddle Cat did.
Would I know of any animals or things that would sound like what she described since I'm from Craghammer?
Well, you do know that around Craghammer, there's lots of very, very large birds that kind of nest in the mountains. It's possible that could be something like what she was talking about. She puts her head down in her paws and says, "They're probably already dead." And she starts to whimper.
Charlene will see if petting her is like rude or would like be comforting. So she tries to pet her and sees how she reacts.
She lets you. She seems to take a little bit of comfort in it.
So, did Magnus say anything about thinking about the birds that might have done it?
No, I'm just thinking I was more trying to figure out something specific, but it's nothing that's helpful.
So, Charlene is going to say to the group, do, do we think that tomorrow is something we should go out and try to find her kids for her?
I think we may have more important things to do, but if there's time, sure.
I think we should try. It's good to find family, find children.
Quaddle Cat looks up at you, Charlene. She doesn't understand what the others are saying.
Tomorrow, I think that we're going to go out and try to see if we could find your kids for you.
She stands up and kind of arches her back in an excited way and looks at you and looks at all of your friends. Would you? Would you really?
That's the hope.
She starts rubbing your hand with her head. And she starts purring. Please, please, please.
Yeah, Charlene's gonna say to the group, yeah, she's really hopeful for the idea that we're going to look for her kids for her.
Well, I hope we can find them.
Me too.
She thanks you again. Unless you want to ask her any questions, I'm assuming you guys are making your way out.
Um, I'm going to ask, is there any like trainers around?
Yeah, there's trainers everywhere.
So I'm gonna speak to one that's near here and say, so that Quado cat, did she have any children?
They tell you pretty much the exact same story, very tragically, that the three kittens disappeared a couple days ago while they were making their way down here. They spent some time looking, but they were afraid they were going to arrive late to Amon, so they had to continue. They said that they searched out at a perimeter of about 15 miles, which is a pretty decent stretch for something a caravan of this size. They said that they utilized some of the trackers that they had and found nothing. They even tried using the wolves to smell them out, but didn't have any luck.
And with how well trained all of these animals are, do you have any druids that help train the animals?
Yes, Lady Minerva is the one who owns the menagerie. She's quite skilled. She did her best as well, but was unable to locate the animals. We believe they were just carried too far away too quickly. In all likelihood, they've probably been eaten. Poor Quaddle Cat, I don't think she'll ever recover.
My friends and I think that we want to try and help and see if we could find the children for you.
We'd be very appreciative. It would also be a lucrative venture. Quaddle cats are extremely rare. This is the only one that we've had. I'm certain that Minerva would be willing to offer quite the reward for the return of the kittens if they were to be found.
And where do you plan on going after today?
We'll be camping south of Amon for about a week before we make our way down to Singorn.
Okay. If we do find Quaddle Cat's kids, we'll definitely try to get down to you before you head too far away.
The attendant gives you a low bow. Bailey's like grabbing your hand and pulling you away. Are you really going to rescue the kitten? You're so nice, Charlene. You're my hero.
See, that's what I told you before. If you have more power, you should try to do everything you can to help others.
I'm going to be just like you when I grow up, except I'm not going to be as blue, and I'm going to be taller, and I'm going to be a boy, obviously. You guys start making your way out of the menagerie. You see a large group of children in white tops and brown pants being wrangled by some kind of harried looking, frustrated um, servants of Vales. They're just a little overwhelmed by the amount of children that they have, and they're trying to keep an eye on around all of these predators. But thankfully, the animals are behaving. None of the children seem to have gone missing or have lost a limb. Okay. Anyone else want to do anything at the menagerie, or are we gonna?
Not from Zane.
Okay. Well, I think we are going to call it a night there then. Let me get off this damn page because it's just driving me nuts. Oh my god.